Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees to our weekly Bhagavatam study. So, in our previous class, we were discussing from chapter 12, few pending verses, wherein the teachings of Brahmana Bharata unto Maharaj Rahugana we have seen. Especially was talking about one important point. Though the material world around us appears to be perfectly real, but for a person who want to go back home back to Godhead should treat it as a temporary place, because that is the way one can become indifferent to the material world. Otherwise, by default, one becomes attached or attracted to the material world around us. Since Bharata Maharaj, for last 3 lifetimes, he was eagerly desiring to go back home back to Godhead. Somehow he is not able to go back home back to Godhead because of some various reasons. This lifetime he does not want to miss. That's why he has a strong standing of this material world. He does not want to get into the rules and regulations of this world. He just wants to be indifferent to the ways and means of this world. At the same time, he does not want to harm anybody, not to create new karmas. He just wants to be indifferent to this world. So in that context, he had an encounter with King Rahugana, who was thinking himself to be the king of this entire place, etc., etc. He was trying to control the people and all these things, etc. But he kind of indicated that the conventional world, the Vyavahara Jagat, which is around us, he did not give any importance to it. He considered it as not existing only. So like that, because he uses the concept of Paramanuvada. Ultimately, whatever you see, everything is a combination of mud. Since we are Martyaloka residents, everything is a byproduct of Mrutak. And Mrutak itself is not a fundamental substance. When you divide the Mrutak into different parts, ultimately it leads to Paramanu. And if you accept Paramanu to be fundamental particle, since you cannot see Paramanu. So since you cannot see the fundamental particle, how can you see something which is made up of fundamental particle? Since you cannot see, how do you ascertain its existence? Its existence is also hypothetical. Its existence is also kind of imaginary. So how can you consider a world made up of the combination of the imaginary Paramanu particles to be real? See, the world may be real, the world may be temporary, but a sadhaka who is intensely eager to go back home back to Godhead should treat it like this. That way we have to understand. Here, more than the tattva, the mood of the speaker is very important. The urgency, the mood of the speaker is very much need to take into consideration. So like that. So then he said, if at all you want to go back home back to Godhead, you should ride on the horse of detachment. You should hold the sword of knowledge. And you should move on, crossing, overcoming, cutting all the obstacles into pieces with the help of that sword of knowledge and move on to the spiritual world. Never ever stop in between like that. So like this, taking this as a fundamental clue, then it talks about a typical materialist, like a Vartaka, who want to earn more money, more wealth, for more enjoyment. What are the kind of obstacles such a person will encounter on the journey of material world, material existence? They are all kind of summarized as a Vartaka traveling through the forest. The different obstacles that he encounters are listed and what they signify is also mentioned in the notes we have seen. And like that, starting from text number 1 to 19, there was complete discussion about all these different obstacles that can come in the life of a sadhaka. So they're all mentioned in this section. And today we will see the final concluding words of Bharat Maharaj unto Rahugana. They are mentioned now in these final verses of this chapter. And then in the next chapter, the meaning of these words which are used, the meaning of the metaphors which are used in this chapter are given in the 14th chapter. That anyway we discussed, but still we read through in the 14th chapter today. So now the final conclusive words of the Brahmana Bharata unto King Rahuguna. Dekhte. Rahuganatvam api advanosya
राहुगणत्वम् अपि हि त्वनोऽस्य
sanyasya dandaha kritabhutamaitraha
सन्न्यस्तदण्डः कृतभूतमैत्रः
असज्जितात्मा हरिसेवयासितम्
असज्जितात्मा हरिसेवया सीतम्
ज्ञानासिमादाय तरातिपारम्
ज्ञानासिमादाय तरातिपारम्. Translation. My dear King Rahugana, you are also a victim of the external energy, being situated in the path of attraction to material pleasure, so that you may become an equal friend to all living entities. I now advise you to give up your kingly position and the rod by which you punish criminals. Give up attraction to the sense subjects and take up the sword of knowledge sharpened by devotional service. Then you will be able to cut the hard knot of illusory energy and cross to the other side of the ocean of nescience.
Just like in the fourth canto, there was a discussion about Puranjana. After talking about the entire story, at the end, Nadamni says, my dear Prachana Barhi, don't think that Puranjana is somebody else. Puranjana is you only. You and all the conditioned souls in the material world is Puranjana. Same way here, my dear King Rahugana, don't think that Vartaka is different from you. You are non-different from the same Vartaka only. What that Vartaka is doing and what you are doing is non-different. Both are same only. Both are you same person only. This is the story of every conditioned soul in the material world. Therefore, take up the weapon of knowledge, ride the horse of detachment, and go beyond the existence of material world. That's what he is finally attributing the entire story unto the king only. So in that way. O King Rahugana, you are also absorbed in the material existence, just like that Vartak. Your situation is not no better than that Vartak. Making friends with all beings, renouncing the punishment, making friends with all beings, renouncing the punishment that the king gives to others, taking the sword of knowledge that has been sharpened by devotional service to Lord Hari, with mind detached from material enjoyment, cross over material existence. My dear king, enough is enough. For many years you have been ruling the entire kingdom. Now it is the time to go back, come back to Godhead. Take the weapon of knowledge, ride the horse of detachment, and give away all other material anchorings and anchorings for power, position, control, punishment, etc. etc. Just cross the ocean of material existence. Tarati param. So, in that way. So, give that Mrityu Danda, hold Sannyasa Danda. You have been holding the Mrityu Danda, the punishment, the rod of punishment. Give it away and hold the Sannyas Danda and come back to Godhead. Like that, this is the final instruction or direct instruction to the king, which Brahmana Bharata is giving. Please cross over this material ocean. So, hearing this final instruction, the king is responding. he expresses his gratitude unto the Brahmana Bharata in the next 3 verses. Rajovacha
Rajovacha
अहो नृजन्मा किल जन्म शोभनम्
निजन्मा अखिल जन्म शोभनम्
किं जन्मभिस्त्वपरैरपि यमुष्मिन्
जन्माभिस्त्वपियुरपि अमुस्मिन्
न यदृशिकेश यशस्कृतात्मनाम्
नयदृशिकेश यशकृतात्मनम्
महात्मनां वा प्रचुरा समागमः
महात्मनां वा प्रचुरं समागमः. Translation. King Rahugana said, the birth as a human being is the best of all. Even birth among the demigods in the heavenly planet is not as glorious as birth as a human being on this earth. What is the use of the exalted position of a demigod? In the heavenly planet, due to profuse material comforts, there is no possibility of associating with devotees.
The king said, human birth is the most splendid. What use is any other birth in which there is no abundant intimate association of great devotees, whose whole being is composed of glorification of the Lord? He says that a human being has a good fortune of associating with great souls such as you, which is rare for the Devatas also, or any other species also. So I am really blessed today by having your association. Like that, he is expressing his gratitude to Brahmana Bharata. How have I suddenly become so fortunate? With astonishment, the king wonders. Among all births, human birth is splendid in this astonishing world. There is nothing better in next life in Swarga. Because in human life, one can get the association of great sages and practice bhakti and come back to God, which is very rare in the heaven. What is the use of those births as devatas in which there is no association with great devotees, whose souls, whose efforts, whose intelligence, whose mind and bodies are made only of glorification of the Lord, who always engage their senses in service of the Supreme Lord? Rushikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. The great souls are always engaging their senses in service of the Supreme Lord. Such a great souls association is very easily possible in the earth. So, like that, what good fortune I have performed. Today I have had the good fortune of the association of your wonderful soul. Like that, he is expressing his gratitude unto Brahmana Bharata.
Krishna Brahmani.
Yes, Prabhuji, a little louder.
Very good.
Yes,
Prabhuji, here Bharat Maharaj is glorifying the human form of life.
No, this is spoken by the Raja.
Raja.
The Rahugana is telling, because I am a human being, I had the great fortune of the association of your great soul. That way he is telling. Yes, human species is very special.
But not all human gets their association of the devotees.
No, all humans will get, but how many will take depends upon their consciousness. Bharata Maharaj association was there for everyone. His father, his brothers, his villagers, the dacoits, everyone, it was there. But who took it?
It is said that every human being somehow or other they get a chance to get associated with the devotees.
Yes, definitely. Every human being has a chance to get the great soul, but how many will take it seriously depends upon their own individual consciousness.
But this is not something like association is something not we they get according to karma. Like it is just a mercy. So everyone gets this mercy.
उधर बेड पे बैठ सकते हो तुम
Everyone gets mercy, but who will take the mercy?
take the हालत
So in that.
it depends upon the individual whether it's utilizing the association.
See, does the king was looking for the association of a devotee? It came on its own only. और रास्ते में चल रहे थे अपने आप दे नीडेड ए पर्सन दे कट भरत ब्राह्मण भरता एंड देन हो गए मुलाकात हो गए so like that.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. नहि अद्भुतं त्वचरणाब्जरेणुभिर्
नहि अद्भुतं त्वं चरणाब्ज रेणुभिः
अथां हसो भक्तिरदोक्षजेमला
अथां हसो भक्तिरदोक्षजे मला
मौहूर्तिकाद्यस्य समागमाच्च मे
मुहूर्ति कादयस्य समागमश्च मे
दुस्तर्कमूलोपहतो विवेकः
दुस्तर्कमूलोपहतो विवेका. Translation. It is not at all wonderful that simply by being covered by the dust of your lotus feet, one immediately attains the platform of pure devotional service to Adakshaja, which is not available even to great demigods like Brahma. By associating with you just for a moment, I am not freed from all argument, false prestige, and lack of discrimination, which are the root of entanglement in the material world. Now I am free from all these problems.
It is not astonishing that all my sins have been destroyed by the dust of your lotus feet, and that pure bhakti to the Supreme Lord has arisen in my heart. So the king is telling that by hearing from you, by tasting the lotus dust from your lotus feet, all my material impurities have been destroyed and pure devotional service awakened in the core of my heart. Thank you very much for that. Like that is telling. By a moment's association with you, my lack of discrimination, the root of my false arguments, has been destroyed. Mahurtikad yasya samagamascha. Our association is only lasted for one muhurta, 48 minutes. That's all. That itself transformed me completely. So, like that is indicating. You mentioned intimate association. Does that mean that a little association is useless? No, I spoke like that out of great enthusiasm. Just by obtaining the dust from your lotus feet, I have attained pure bhakti, which is rare even for Brahma and Indra, other devatas. But this is not astonishing. What is astonishing is that if just by a moment's association my mind, corrupted by a little knowledge and filled with bad logic, becomes favorable to bhakti, how can one describe the greatness of prolonged association with devotees like you? It's like that. One muhurta association with a great soul like you has changed my personality completely. I was thinking I am the most knowledgeable person. I was thinking that I am the most logical person. All my bad logic has been destroyed. I have understood I don't know anything. And your good self has imparted me the true essential knowledge. And what to speak of somebody who gets more association of personalities like you, like that, he's telling. My statement shows my enthusiasm. So in that way. Then finally he offers his obeisances to Brahmana Bharata as well as all the great souls such as Brahmana Bharata who are wandering as a recluse without any pomp and greatness. So in that way. Namo Mahadbhyostu Namo Shishubhyo.
Mahadbhyostu namo shishubhyo.
Namo Yuvobhyo Namo Avatubhyaha.
Namo yuvabhyo nama आवाज भैया
हे ब्राह्मणागाम अवधूत लिंगास
ये ब्राह्मण काम अवधूत लिंगा
चरन्ति तेभ्यः शिवमस्तु राजना.
चरन्ति तेभ्यं शिवा स्तुराख्यम्. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the great personalities, whether they walk on the earth's surface as children, young boys, Avadut, or great brahmanas. Even if they are hidden under different guises, I offer my respects to all of them. By their mercy, may there be good fortune in the royal dynasty that are always offending them.
He is offering obeisances to all the so great sages who may be in different ages, who may be in different situations, who may be in different places. Wherever they may be, let me offer my obeisances to all the great souls. Because because we don't know who is who. Because of our bad estimation, we may commit offenses, thinking that hey, this person is ordinary fellow only. But we don't know what kind of extraordinary person such a person is. So I offer respects to each and everyone on the surface of the earth. I offer respects to the great devotees, to the babies. So Namo Mahadbhyo, Astu Nama Shishubhyo. Even the great devotees sometimes may be small babies also. Namo Yuvabhyo, to the youths, to the young boys. Namo Avatubhya. Avatubhya means Vatu. That Vamana appeared as Vatu. So like that. Even for those people, I offer respects to all the Brahmanas who wander the earth in the dress of Avadutas. May there be auspiciousness for the kings. The kingly community always thinks that we are so great, we are knowledgeable, we are this, we are that. That makes them proud and commit offense against the great souls. Let them not become proud, let them not commit offense to the great souls. Instead, let them continuously offer obeisances to great souls who may be in small boy, youth, or adult, or any person in Brahmana Vesha, Ravaduta Vesha, or any Vesha they may be. Let our obeisances be there for them. So, like that. Because in the beginning, you were thinking that I am the king and this fellow is servant, he should listen to me like that. But now he is offering obeisances to him and to everyone. If you carrying the palanquin had not enlightened me, what destination would such an offender attain? In fear, the king offers respects. Because that time he committed offense. In order to beg forgiveness, he is offering obeisances not only to Brahmana Bharata but to everyone. Because he was afraid. I might have committed offense to many people in the past. Let all of them forgive me. Like that. I offer respects even unto the small Brahmana boys, since such children are inclined to play. Their greatness is not evident as of now. However, to even such persons he offers respects. So, like that. By requesting good fortune for kings, he indicates that that possibly other kings have offended the devotees. Just like he mistook and offended Brahmana Bharata, like that many kings might be offending the great souls who are in Avaduta Vesh. Let all of them be forgiven. Let everyone have auspiciousness. So on behalf of all the kings, and is offering obeisances to all the great souls. So this is the transformation we can see in the heart of King Rahugana. So somebody may think it's like who? Parishit Maharaj may think that, oh, King Rahugana was so fortunate, though he offended Bharata by making him carry the palanquin, he was showered in the nectar of mercy and became successful. I am most unfortunate, not being forgiven for the offense of placing a dead snake on the neck of a Brahmana. I have been burned by the poison of this curse, poison of his curse. What dark hell will I attain? Sukadev Goswami pacifies the lamenting Parikshit Maharaj. So, Parikshit Maharaj said, but he might be feeling that, see, this king in a way criticized, scolded, made Brahmana Bharata to carry the palanquin, but finally received knowledge from the Brahmana Bharata only, and he was enlightened and perfected his life. I made a small mistake for Shamika Rishi, and I was cursed by the son of Shamika Rishi to die in 7 days. So that is the transformation we can see here in the heart of Brahmana. The next two verses are in prose. Somebody read the translation. Now Sukadev Goswami pacifies him. So let us see how does he pacify. Yes. Yes.
Srila Sukadev Goswami continued, My dear king, O son of Mother Uttara, there were some waves of dissatisfaction in the mind of Jadabharata due to his being insulted by King Rahugana, who made him carry his palanquin. But Jadabharata neglected this, and his heart again became calm and quiet, like an ocean. Although King Rahugana has insulted him, he was a great Paramahamsa. Being a Vaishnava, he was naturally very kind-hearted, and he therefore told the king about the constitutional position of the soul. He then forgot the insult because King Rahugana pitifully begged pardon at his lotus feet. After this, he began to wander all over the earth just as before.
So Sukadev Goswami was trying to pacify Parikshit Maharaj. Oh Parikshit, oh son of Uttara, the Brahmana Jadabharata having the highest realization, though insulted by the king, out of great mercy, instructed the king on spiritual matters. Having been worshipped by the king with his tears of regret, his heart became as quiet as the full ocean after the agitation of the waves of his senses had been calmed, and he again wandered the earth. So after receiving the regretful prayers of King Rahugana, even Jadabharata kind of became emotional. He never had any emotions till now, but now he's kind of become emotional. And then he was very happy that the king was completely transformed. That made him completely happy. And then taking leave from the king, he began to continue his journey as he walked away. So in that way. O King Parikshit, whose mother was Uttara, the Lord entered into your mother's womb personally and protected you. He showed his form to you. He showed his form to you, even in the womb of your mother. So Sukadeva Goswami is telling that, oh my dear king, for the king Jadabharata, Lord had sent only a devotee. But for you, Lord personally came when you are in the womb of your mother, when you are almost dead. It is the Lord who protected you, and he showed his form to you in the heart of your mother only, in the embryo of your mother only. The Lord sending sages like Narada and myself to protect you from the Brahmana's curse has brought us to you and has nullified the curse by sprinkling you with the unprecedented mercy of the sages and making you drink the nectar of Bhagavatam through me. King Rahugana only had the good fortune of associating with great soul only for one muhurta. But you are having the good fortune for 7 days, 7 nights. Who is more fortunate? This shows that you have greater fortune than the king Rahugana, than Bharata, than myself, and greater fortune than the great sages. Therefore, why do you lament? So your good fortune is not small; it is big, very big. No one can compare this. So don't lament. Though he was scolded, Bharata had the highest realization. He taught about spirit to the king of Sindhu, or King Rahugana. Sakaruna means with tears. His heart had waves of the senses which were calmed. So basically, so be happy, be comfortable. King Rahugana had only association of Brahmana Bharata for one Muhurta, but you are having the association of Narada Muni and many other great souls and myself for 1 week. Both are, there is a lot of difference between those. And then Sukadeva Goswami further continues. Yes, please read, Prabhuji.
After receiving lessons from the great devotees Jadabharata, King Ravana of the state of Savira became completely aware of the constitutional position of the soul. He thus gave up the bodily conception completely. My dear king, whoever takes shelter of the servant of the Lord is certainly glorified because he can without difficulty give up the bodily conception. CC Madhya 13.80.
So then what happened to the king Rahugana? That is also mentioned. Having understood from Brahmana Bharata about the nature of Paramatma, King Rahugana gave up the concept of the body as the self, superimposed on the self by ignorance. O king, this is the result of taking shelter of a devotee. Evam hi nripa bhagavad ashritanubhavaha. Bhagavad ashritashrita anubhava. When we take shelter of somebody who has taken shelter of Bhagavan, this is what happens to us. Like that Sukadeva Goswami is telling. Sujana refers to Bharata. Atmani means in oneself. So the king gave up the conception that the body is the self, which is assumed by being less ignorance in the self. When we don't have knowledge of self, we identify ourselves with the body. The king understood it and he gave up that misidentification. King Rahugana took shelter of the devotee Bharata, who took shelter of the Lord completely. Bhagavad Ashrita Ashritaha. So in that way. So then Parikshit Maharaj is making an inquiry. That inquiry will lead to the next chapter. So he was pacified that okay, I am also fortunate, just like King Rahugana. He had association of Brahmana Bharata, I had the association of Sukadeva Goswami and all the great souls headed by Narada Muni, etc. But however, जो story आपने बताया था till now, whatever story you have mentioned, the metaphorical story, it is not very clear. The intellectual people may understand it, but common people may not understand it. Can you kindly explain the meaning of this metaphorical story? That will be the question of Parikshit Maharaj. Yes, Prabhuji, please read.
King Parikshit then told Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Lord, O great devotee sage, you are omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul, which compared to a merchant in the forest. From these instructions, intelligent man can understand that the senses of a person in the bodily conceptions are like rogues and thieves in that forest, and one's wife and children are like jackals and other ferocious animals. However, it is not very easy for the unintelligent to understand the purport of this story because it is very difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request your holiness to give the direct meaning.
Same question. Parikshit Maharaj is asking that, O great devotee, you have described with symbolic words, parokshena vachasa, the material existence of the jiva. Jiva, loka, bhava, abhava. This allegorical presentation for a person with refined intellect cannot be easily understood. This allegorical presentation for a person with refined intellect cannot be easily understood by inexperienced persons like me. The story which you have mentioned is only meant for the people with refined intellect. They can understand, but other people cannot understand. Therefore, you should explain this presentation, which is very difficult to understand using suitable examples. So can you please explain the meaning of all the metaphors that you have used? So in that way, is asking. The subject in which the 6 plunderers are the senses and the jackals are the children was produced by the greatest intelligence. It is hard to understand because examples are not given. Suitable examples should be given. So what they are meant should be explained so that we can understand, we can follow the meaning. Like that is asking. So his request to Sukadeva Goswami to explain. So King Rahugana and Brahmana Bharata were intelligent, they can understand the meaning of this allegorical story. But people like me who are simple cannot understand. So for our benefit, can you explain the meaning of the story? Like that Parishit Maharaj is asking. So any questions till now? This is the last verse of this chapter. Hare Krishna, any questions from any devotees?
No, Prabhuji.
No. So as an answer to this question, the next chapter is spoken, presenting all the meanings of all the words, the metaphorical words used in the previous chapter. Explanation of the forest of enjoyment. In the 14th chapter, the characters of the story, like the plunderers and the jackals, are explained to be the six senses and one's family members. So the meaning of all the words is given in this chapter. So this is like a big chapter, 46 verses are there, but you see, so I have put which verse is the explanation of which verse in the previous chapter. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 16. So one verse in the previous chapter is explained in 1, 2 verses in this chapter. So all the way up to 41. Till 41 the explanation is given. 42 to 46 the sages glorify Jada Bharata. The glorification of Brahmana Bharata is also mentioned in the end of the chapter. So in this way, the 14th chapter will go on. Since we have already discussed the meaning of all the allegorical terms in the previous chapter, so today it will not take much time to go through this chapter. We'll read through, we'll explain wherever necessary, but we'll read through. Yeah, someone please read the translation for the first verse.
When King Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami about the direct meaning of the material forest, Sukadeva Goswami replied as follows. My dear king, a man belonging to the mercantile community, Banik, is always interested in earning money. Sometimes he enters the forest to acquire some cheap commodities like wood and earth and sell them in the city at good price. Similarly, the conditioned soul, being greedy, enters this material world for some material profits. Gradually, he enters the deepest part of the forest, not really knowing how to get out. Having entered the material world, the pure soul becomes conditioned by the material atmosphere, which is created by the external energy under the control of Lord Vishnu. Thus, the living entity comes under the control of the external energy, Daivi Maya. Living independently and bewildered in the forest, he does not attend the association of devotees who are always engaged in the service of the Lord. Once in the bodily conception, he gets different types of bodies, one after the other, under the influence of material energy and impelled by the modes of the material nature, Sattva-guna, Rajaguna and Tamaguna. In this way, the conditioned soul goes sometimes to the heavenly planets, sometimes to the earthly planet, and sometimes to the lower planets and lower spaces. Thus, he suffers continuously due to different types of bodies. These suffering and pain are sometimes mixed. Sometimes they are very severe and sometimes they are not. These bodily conditions are acquired due to the conditioned soul's mental speculation. He used his mind and five senses to acquire knowledge, and these bring about the different bodies and different conditions. Using these senses under the control of the external energy, Maya, the living entity suffers the miserable conditions of material existence. He is actually searching for relief, but he is generally baffled. Although sometimes he relieved after great difficulty, struggling for existence in this way. He cannot get the shelter of pure devotees who are like bumblebees engaged in loving service at the lotus feet of the Lord Vishnu.
The jiva, using the doors of the six senses, wanders around in samsara, having walked along the difficult road, belonging to persons who identify with the body, with many obstructions, experiencing samsara, with beginningless happiness and distress, arising from accepting and rejecting a series of various bodies, produced by performing auspicious or inauspicious acts, which are divided according to the three gunas. The entire material existence has been very succinctly summarized in this one verse. Sa esha deha atma maninam. For those who consider deha to be atma, what happens to them? Satvadi guna vishesha vikalpita kushala akushala sama vahara vinirmita vivida deha valibir. So you see, satvadi guna, satva rajastama, vishesha vikalpita kushala akushala. The outcomes of the activities of satvaguna, rajoguna, tamaguna are kushala and akushala. Some of them are auspicious, some of them are unauspicious. Samavahara, Vinirmita, Vivida, Deha, Valbir. As a result of that, those kushala and akushala activities, one gets good and bad destination, good and bad species body. One can go through the cycle of repeated cycle of birth and death. Vinirmita, Vivida, Deha, Valbir. Vivida Deha means different bodies. Valbir means the flow of the bodies. Viyoga samyogadi anadi samsaranubhavasya. So Viyoga samyoga means accepting and rejecting, getting a body, living in that body for some time and giving that body, again getting a new body, living there and giving it away. Like 15th chapter we see, no? Utkramantam sitam vapi bunjanam vagunan vitam vimudana pasyanti jnana jaksha shariram yadava apnoti yachapi utkramat ishvara ja. Grihitvaitani samyati vayor gandhani vashayat. Just like Vayu accepts Gandha and gives it away, similarly a Jivatma accepts a body, gives it away, accepts another body, gives it away, like that. See? Vinirmita Vivida Deha Valibir Viyoga Samyogadi Anadi. So you give up one body, accept another body. It is continuing from Anadi Samsara Anubhavasya. Since the time memorial, one is experiencing Samsara. Dwara Bhutena Sadindriya Vargena. So, why all these things are happening? Because of the demands of the six Indriyas. The five Jnanendriyas and the mind. All these six are always demanding, I want this, I want this, I want this. In order to fulfill the demands of these six Indriyas, one had to accept unlimited bodies, one after the other, one after the other. Tasmin Durga Dvavad Asugame Advani. So the Durga, this mental existence is very difficult to cross over as a result of all these things. So one will be traveling in this material world only, life after life, life after life. This is one of the simplistic verse which summarizes the conditioning of the material existence. How Jiva is bound. What do you mean by bondage? Is very clearly explained. We can actually by heart this verse. This is very important philosophical verse. This one verse has all the philosophy. Saesha dehatma maninam satvadi guna vishesha vikalpita kushala akushala samavahara vinirmita vivida deha valibir viyoga samyogadi anadi samsaranubhavasya dwara bhutena shadindriya vargena tasmin durgadvavad asugame advani. Shadindriya Vargena Dwara Bhutena, using the doors of the six senses, because the six senses are like doors. Through the six senses only we are going out and interacting with the external world. If the six senses are there, not there, we don't interact with the external world and we are not bound in the external world. So in that way. Dwara Durga Advavad Asugame Advani Apatita wanders around in samsara having walked along the difficult road. It is very asugame. It is not an easy path. So like that. Very interesting verse. Request the devotees whoever can please please by heart this verse so that we can meditate upon it whenever we have some free time. Yeah, this talks about our conditioned nature, our current status. So very interesting verse. The jiva going into the forest of samsara even today has not attained the devotees who like bees are attracted to the worship of the lotus feet of Guru, a form of the Lord. This means that without taking shelter of the feet of Sri Guru, one wanders around in the samsara, having walked along the difficult road with many obstructions, experiencing samsara with beginningless happiness and distress, arising from accepting and rejecting a series of various bodies, produced by performing auspicious or inauspicious activities, which are driven according to the three gunas. So as simple as that. Solution is taking the association of a guru, a teacher who can deliver us from this ocean of mental existence. So in that way. Very interesting verse. Please, those devotees who can, please by heart this shloka, very interesting shloka. If you want to talk to anybody about the Sambandha Jnana, this will tell us what is our current situation and where we want to be. Very nicely this verse is there. Yeah. Also, 12th verse, 12th chapter, last verse. So, riding on the horse of detachment, holding the sword of knowledge, cut through all the obstacles and cross over this mental existence easily. That is also very interesting verse. The last verse of the 12th chapter. These two verses we can by heart. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji?
What does it mean like Guna Vishesha Vikalpita Kushal Samavahara Vinirmita?
You see, Kushala, Akushala, Samavahara, Vinirmita, produced by performing auspicious or inauspicious activities. Kushala is auspicious pious activities, you go to Svargaloka. Akushala is impious activities, you go to Narakaloka or taking birth in lower species, like that. Samavahara, the results of these activities will manufacture our future body, Vinirmita. Vivida Deha Valibir. Vivida is different, Deha is bodies, Vali. Vali means the flow, like the waves, one after the other. Deepavali, we say na, Deepavali means the row of lamps. So Dehavali, the row of bodies. So in that way.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
In translation, there is one last sentence. The struggling for existence in this way, he cannot get the shelter of pure devotees. So, what is that meaning? He cannot get the shelter of pure devotees. Why it's written like that?
That means even though the pure devotees are walking in front of us, but we are overpowered by the thought of maintaining our family, fulfilling our desires. Even though the devotees are in front of our eyes, we don't desire to take their shelter. Our immersion in sense gratification is so much, our immersion in material existence is so much, we don't recognize, we don't see the devotees in front of our eyes also.
Okay.
So that is understanding. That's what we have seen now. Sometimes the Vartaka comes in the company of the Paramahamsas. The Paramahamsas will say that, my dear son, please do not eat meat, please do not drink wine, please do not associate with women religiously. Then he says, oh, बहुत हो गया मेरा ये सब जरूरत नहीं मुझे ये सब पालन करने की जरूरत नहीं, like he will go away. It's as simple as that.
Yes. Okay.
So in that way. No need to worry. The people in front of our eyes only, the typical Mumbaikars, when we say, please come for a program, they say, no time, ye kaam hai, wo kaam hai. If we tell them to read Bhagavad Gita, they'll say, no, abhi nahi, baad mein, abhi bahut busy hai, baad mein karenge. So like that.
Okay.
The devotees are there in front of our eyes, but how many will recognize them? How many will take their association seriously? That is the point.
Krishna Prabhuji, here conditioned soul is identified as merchant, right?
Yes.
We are like merchant who are entering this samsara with the six senses, walking on this road.
Yeah. The six senses are demanding, eat this, watch this, go there, speak this, like that. The senses are demanding us. Our life is all about fulfilling the demands of the six senses only, nothing more than that. There is nothing more than that to our life, just fulfilling the demands of all the six senses.
This one.
So, in that way. Okay. Please read second translation. Anybody?
In the forest. Should I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please, Mataji. Please
In the
read
forest of
loudly,
material
distinctly.
Yes. In the forest of material existence, the uncontrolled senses are like plunderers. The conditioned soul may earn some money for the advancement of Krishna consciousness, but unfortunately, the uncontrolled senses plunder his money through sense gratification. The senses are plunderers because they make one spend his money unnecessarily for seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, desiring, and willing. In this way, the conditioned soul is obliged to gratify his senses, and thus all his money is spent. This money is actually acquired for the execution of religious principles, but it is taken away by the plundering senses.
Now he gets into the first verse gave a general philosophical understanding of material existence. Now the details are explained now. The jiva, like a wealthy merchant, greedy for objects of sense gratification. Artha paraha. Artha means tanmatras, the five tanmatras. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, etc. Greedy for the objects of enjoyment, though experiencing karmas produced by his body through the agency of Maya, controlled by the Lord, while walking in the most inauspicious forest of samsara. Ashiva tamayam, samsara atavyam gataha. While walking in the most inauspicious forest of samsara, which is similar to a crematorium, samshanavad, and performing useless actions with many obstacles, even now does not attain the feet of the bumblebee like devotees, attracted to worshipping the Lord in the form of Guru. This lotus feet is capable of pacifying the miseries of the samsara. Because a person is busy earning money for enjoying five tanmatras, does not desire to get the company or association or shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, which only can pacify one's samsara. Nothing else. Earning more wealth, enjoying more and more will not pacify one's samsara. Only attaining the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master will only pacify the samsara. But that is not happening because this person is busy earning more money for more enjoyment. That is the problem. Since samsara of the jiva is made up of maya, the jiva should surrender to Maya Devi. Being pleased with him, she will free him from bondage. Somebody may say that, oh, samsara anyway is made up of Maya, so there one should surrender to Maya Devi. So Maya Devi will become happy and Maya Devi will make his life happy. Like that one may say. Why should one surrender to Guru? Maya Devi ko surrender karo na, Guru ko surrender karne ka? Like that one may question. But Maya itself is controlled by the Lord. She cannot independently award liberation. Okay, you want to surrender to Maya, but Maya can only award bondage. Maya cannot award liberation. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, Dhaiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam yevaye prapadyante mayam yetam tarantite. Maya can only bind us if at all one want freedom. If at all one want mukti, one should take shelter of the master of Maya, that is the Supreme Lord. Only that can liberate one from the Maya. The use of the word eva, mam eva e prapadyante, mam eva. Eva indicates that the Lord alone can deliver the jiva, not the combination of the Lord and Maya. Performing many activities which are fruitless and with many obstacles, the jiva does not attain the devotees. Because the jiva is busy performing so many useless activities, one does not want to get the association of devotees. Such a person will not get association of devotees. Who will get the association of devotees? Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha vinmukta bhajate mam drudavrata. Those people, Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. Those who have given up papa karmas and punya karmas completely. They will get the association of pure devotees and become serious devotees. Those who are running after punya and papa, very difficult for them to take shelter of devotees. So like that. Dvanga moha nirmukta. One should be freed from this dvanga. Punya, papa, dvanga se free hona chahiye. Then only one takes the association of devotee seriously. So that is the understanding. Oh, this is first verse part 2. So आप लोग second verse पढ़ लिया already.
Yes,
In that
second verse pada.
yes, no problem. I will read it now. In that forest, the thieves are the six senses. Just as the thieves plunder a man's wealth, which is meant for service to the Lord, and has been attained with great difficulty by rightful means, and just as the thieves plunder the wealth of a merchant who is without proper intelligence and has uncontrolled senses. So the senses, by their actions of enjoying sensing, by their actions of enjoying, how? Seeing, touching, hearing, tasting, smelling, thinking, and deciding. These are the different activities that our senses will do. Eyes are seeing, skin is trying to touch, ears are hearing, tongue is tasting, nostril is smelling, the mind is thinking and deciding. Things related to sense gratification plunder man's wealth. When we become busy doing all these things, that will take away our wealth. With our wealth of time, energy, and everything, our lifespan, everything will be taken away for these things. Then we are left with no time for practicing bhakti. That is the understanding. Dharmasvanushrita pumsha vishvaksena katasuya na utpadayad yadiratim shramayevai kevalam. Whatever activity that we may do in day in, day out, if those activities are not bringing us close to Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, all those activities are simply a wasted labor. Shramayevahi kevalam. So same thing here. All our activities are consisting of seeing, touching, hearing, tasting, smelling, thinking, deciding, and fulfilling all those desires. If these activities are not bringing us close to Krishna, all these activities are simply Shramayevahi kevalam. But see the deity of the Lord, touching the lotus feet of the Lord, hearing the glories of the Lord, tasting Krishna Prasad, smelling the fragrance of the scent or tulsi flower, tulsi petals and flowers that are offered to the Lord's lotus feet, thinking how to serve the Lord, deciding how to dedicate oneself to the Lord. All these such things will bring us close to Supreme Lord. The verse explained in 5:13:2, the six plunderers are the six senses. Just as thieves plunder a man's wealth meant for dharma, attained with great difficulty, the six senses steal the wealth of a man with uncontrolled senses by actions of seeing and touching. So what is the wealth that we have earned with great difficulty? The real wealth is human birth. We have attained human birth after passing through 8.4 million species. After a long time, we attained this with great difficulty. That too in Bharata Varsha. That too in the land of India, nearby Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Godavari, Kaveri, Krishnaveni, etc., etc. In spite of having this great good fortune, if we don't take it seriously to practice bhakti, that means the thieves have stolen away our wealth accumulated through great endeavor. So that is understanding. Our wealth is human life, human body in Bharata Varsha. So that is our wealth. So in that way, the wealth is meant for service to the Lord. This wealth, this body, human body, and this human life is meant to serve the Lord, so that we can go back home back to Godhead, not to take birth again and again in this material world. So that is the understanding. If we don't take up the shelter of a guru and practice bhakti, we take shelter of the six senses and we fulfill the demands, the six demands: seeing, touching, hearing, tasting, smelling, thinking, and deciding. यही करते रहेंगे जीवन भर. So like that. Sankalpa is the function of the mind. Vyavasaya or ascertainment is the function of the intelligence. The senses plunder the wealth of the person with uncontrolled senses and with a bad intelligence, just like thieves plunder a person. When the senses and mind are uncontrolled and the intelligence is bad, they will take us in the wrong direction. So that is the understanding. So yeah, please read the third verse.
My dear king, family members in this material world go under the names of wife and children, but actually they behave like tigers and jackals. A herdsman tries to protect his sheep to the best of his ability, but the tigers and the foxes take them away by force. Similarly, although a miserly man wants to guard his money very carefully, his family members take away all his assets forcibly, and even though he's very vigilant.
Prabhuji, please read little slowly and distinctly because we are recording it. Na? So later on when somebody hears, it will not be clear. So, okay. The family members such as wife and children, by their actions, are like wolves and jackals. I mean, this is not in the case of devotees family, but in general, this is a philosophy. And the speaker was Brahmana Bharata. He was very strong. So don't take anybody personally, but we are trying to understand the Siddhanta. So in a materialistic scenario, it is considered like this. Just as the wolves steal the protected sheep, the family members steal the wealth protected by the miserly husband, as he looks on, though he does not want to part with it. ए ना भी नहीं बोल सकते, हाँ भी नहीं बोल सकते. So the husband earns, wife and children spends. So that is understanding here. This verse explains the meaning of the jackals. So just like jackals looking for a right opportunity, they enter into the goshala or sheep shala and steal away the sheep. So without the knowledge of the owner. So same way. The family members steal the wealth protected by the man with the logic. You should protect us by supplying food and clothing to us. So I need this money for shopping. I need this money for movie. I need this money for travel, this, that, school fees, college fees, this, that. So much money is being spent in that. So in that way. The object of the verb is Svartikam, refers to his collection of food, ghee and sugar mentioned in 5:13:2. Of the two, the plunderers in the form of the senses are more difficult to control than the jackals of the family member. Both are stealing away. Family members go to some extent one can control them, but senses difficult to control. The senses and mind are very difficult to control. Okay, the family members are external, senses are internal. External people, it is easy to control. Internal, difficult to control. So that is the understanding. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please read the translation of 4.
Every year, the plowman plows over his grain field, completely uprooting all weeds. Nonetheless, the seeds lie there and, not being completely burned, again come up with plants sown in the field. Even after being plowed under, the weeds come up densely. Similarly, the Grostha Asrama is a field of fruitive activity. Unless the desire is to enjoy family life is completely burned out, it grows up again and again. Even though camphor may be removed from a pot, the pot nonetheless retains the aroma of a camphor. As long as the seeds of desire are not destroyed, fruitive activities are not destroyed.
Just as unburned seeds from weeds, though plowed under every year, again spring up as a thicket of bushes, grass, and creepers. After sowing seeds, the household is the field of action in which the actions do not cease, since the household is a storehouse for desires. So it's like now it is the season, especially in Hyderabad, the rains have just started. Every village they are busy sowing the seeds. So before sowing the seeds, they prepare the land. And when the summer is getting over, they kind of burn away the last year's leftover plants, whatever. But along with the food grains, there are a lot of weeds will grow. All the weed plants will also have seeds. Those seeds will fall down, they enter into the earth. Even though on the surface of the earth one may burn away all the collected creepers here and there everywhere, but the seeds are down below the earth. They are not burnt to ashes. They are well protected by the earth which is covering them. Later, when the rain comes, when we prepare the land for sowing the new seeds, but the seeds of the weeds are already there in the earth. As soon as the rain comes, they start growing up. Same way, in a household family, there are so many desires for day-to-day maintenance. One may be doing normal activities, but there are some desires which are hidden. Whenever there is opportunity, they rise up, they sprung up, and that will cause so much difficulty in the family. So that is what happens in the family order. This verse describes the dense thickets of the creepers, grass, and bushes. Action does not disappear since the household is a storehouse of desires. Just as a pot in which the hing has disappeared still has the smell of hing, activities are not dissipated since impressions remain. So some activity काफी समय पहले किया था वो तो उसको भूल गया, but when right opportunity will come, the same thing will come up, same thing will pop up. That is what it is. Some desire was there some years back, it is forgotten, but when the right opportunity comes, it pops up. So it is like that. Some unwanted desire will pop up and disturb us, disturb our consciousness, disturb the family. So like that, all these things will just like the weeds. Even though we don't sow seeds, we don't plant, we don't desire, they come up. Like that, unwanted desires and in order to fulfill that unwanted desires, unwanted activities we need to perform, they keep coming time and again in the household. That is the understanding. So next verse, 5th verse. Yes, project.
Here it is mentioned that the household is a storehouse for desire.
Obviously, na. Same. Household is storehouse of desire.
The mind is storehouse of desire.
What is it?
Mind, the desires are rested in the minds from the mind. Desires are generated.
The desires are compared to the weeds, which are not required, but they keep coming on their own. Which mein aate rehte hain. So a householder goes to somebody home, he will see a nice sofa there, nice home theater there. उनको जरूरत नहीं, but उनको देख के मुझे भी चाहिए ऐसा, बस हो गया काम खत्म. You'll go to somebody's home, you will see a car. Oh, मुझे भी ऐसा car चाहिए. Gone case. So like that.
Basically, by seeing or like the family members also, there are many family members. They also have their own desire. They will also.
किसी का भी सबका desires. Desire is like a weed. Whatever is required to maintain the day-to-day life of the family, it is like the seeds. And what comes extra, what is not necessary, that is all weeds. So like that.
We have not planted the seed, but still weeds comes out. Similarly, that comes out.
That is understanding.
Okay.
वो डिजायर को फुलफिल करने के लिए बहुत मेहनत करना पड़ता है. It's basically the whole point is that by having more desires, one need to endeavor more time. So one is left with less time for practicing bhakti. That is understanding. That's why Brahmana Bharata, what desires he had in life? He is neither worried about the food, not worried about the clothing, nor worried about the shelter, nor worried about the position, salary, job, this, that, nothing. कुछ मिलेगा तो खाएंगे, नहीं मिलेगा तो नहीं खाएंगे. कुछ बोलेगा तो करेंगे, नहीं बोलेगा तो नहीं करेंगे. He was only meditating upon the Lord. One may think, ऐसा life भी एक life है क्या? From material perspective, is that also a life? Yes, absolutely, that is not a life. But from spiritual perspective, he is ready to go back home, back to Godhead. Will a materialistic person who is well-to-do in the material society, well respected in the material society, will go back home, back to Godhead? It's like that. Like that we have to see.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not saying that having something is good or not. There may be requirement, this and all these things are there. The philosophical point is that yes, having something is not, I'm not telling is right or wrong. But in order to fulfill all those desires, one is wasting away one's valuable time. That is the point is projected in this chapter. That's what I said, na? The wealth that we have accumulated by working hard for many lifetimes is human birth, human body, and human lifespan. The best utility of this wealth is utilize it to serve the Lord and to go back home, back to Godhead. That is what is the essential principle of this section. That is the essence that Bharat Maharaj wanted to tell us. मेरा 3 लाइफ मैंने स्पेंड किया था, आप कितना टाइम वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं, जल्दी जाओ भगवतम. That is the urgency he is creating. So in that way.
Yes, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, someone please read the 5th verse.
Sometimes the conditioned soul in household life, being attached to material wealth and possessions, is distributed by gadflies and mosquitoes, and sometimes locusts, bats, and prey and rats give him trouble. Nonetheless, he still wanders down the path of material existence. Due to ignorance, he becomes lusty and engages in fruitive activities. Because his mind is absorbed in these activities, he sees the material world as permanent, although it is temporary, like a phantasmagoria, a house in the sky.
Holding on to this wealth like his very life, the jiva is afflicted. Here the wealth is the material wealth, the materially accumulated wealth, the money, land, or any other possessions, bank balance, etc. Holding on to this wealth like his very life, the jiva is afflicted by low-class men who are like biting mosquitoes, and by thieves who are like locusts, vultures, and rats. So the neighbors will always keep spreading the rumors. Yeah, ऐसा है वैसा है, कुछ wealth दिखाएगा तो yeah, ऐसा है वैसा, they want to pull down. And other side, the thieves want to steal it away. आपके पास कुछ है तो चोरी करने का, इनके पास बहुत पैसा है, चोरी करो. The चोरी करने वाला are like locusts, vultures, and rats. The backbiting people are like the mosquitoes. Sometimes on the path in the forest, while reflecting, he has a false vision of his unattained kingdom, which is like a Gandharva city, produced by his mind, tinged with action, lust and ignorance. अपना अपना बहुत इच्छा रहता है. So normally one is not able to fulfill the desires, but one gets fulfilled all those desires in the dreams. ड्रीम में एक राजमहल मिलेगा, ये मिलेगा, वो मिलेगा, वन बिकम द किंग, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया, like this, like this, like this, like this. All those desires which are not fulfilled in the daytime are fulfilled in the dream in the night time. So like that is like seeing the Gandharva city, the golden city. This verse explains the harsh biting of the mosquitoes. The jiva who takes wealth as his life, bahi pranaha. Bahi means the wealth externally. Our real wealth is human life. But instead of that, if we consider the real wealth is the wealth and possession, this, that, all these things we take that as a wealth, the bahi prana. So actual wealth is the prana. Our real lifespan is our real wealth. So usko छोड़कर अन्य विषयों को real wealth मानकर गाएगा तो such a person is afflicted by low class men who are like biting mosquitoes. हमारे बगलने वाला पूरा हमेशा they are always envious. So in that way, the city of Gandharvas is explained. Sometimes while deliberating with illusory vision, he sees a Gandharva city, which refers to his wealth desired by worship, such as becoming a king, which he has not attained. One wants to be glorified by everyone. So that will be possible only in the dream. In the real world, everyone will not glorify us. So like that. So this is what happens. This arises because of his mind is tainted by actions, lust and ignorance. So we are in deep ignorance, deep slumber, because we are thinking the wealth to be real wealth, and we are only ambitious about getting name, fame in this world, and we are always performing various activities to accumulate more and more wealth. Seeing the Gandharva city means seeing something other than what actually exists. Dream mein, we see ourselves like possessing a great vehicle or becoming prime minister, becoming this, becoming that, like that, like that, like that, which has no reality. But like that, we become so-called happy. We get so-called happiness. So in that way. In that city, in that Gandharva city, full of desire, addicted to thinking, eating and sex life, he chases after sense objects like a mirage of water. In that Gandharva city, in the dream, one is performing so many activities, so many great exploits, etc., which have no reality. But one enjoys thinking that he is doing all those activities. So in that way. Sometimes when his mind becomes absorbed in gold, the stool of Agni, gold is called as stool of Agni. Purisha Vishesham Nirmita Matihi. Purisha Vishesham. So Purisha is Agni, Shesham means the leftover. The leftover of Agni is gold, something like that. Sometimes when his mind becomes absorbed in gold, the stool of Agni, the color of Rajoguna, which is the source of unlimited falls, he desires to possess gold, just as a person suffering from cold, desiring fire, chases after a glowing ghost. So in winter, we want fire, bonfire, so that we can become warmth. And if somebody sees nearby there is a fire, so one runs there to get the fire, to get warmth, but there is no fire there. It is like the mirage. So this verse explains the firebrand mentioned in the third verse. The jiva's mind is absorbed in the stool of Agni, that is gold, which is reddish, the color of Rajoguna. He desires to take others' possessions represented by gold. So today, nowadays, people are thinking about gold price will increase or decrease, will increase or decrease. If it decreases, let me buy. If it increases, let me sell. That is what is happening around us. He desires to go to hell. This is like a person who wandering in the forest, anxious for the fire, to relieve himself of the cold, chases after the glow of a ghost, thinking it to be fire. He does this till he dies. So basically, in order to get more and more wealth, one will be running after wealth, life after life, life after life, the entire life, year after year after year, entire life. Finally, one ends up in hell. So that is what will happen. So in that way, and sometimes feeling very much cold, looking for agni, for fire. He sees nearby there is a forest, there is imaginary fire. You are chasing after that imaginary fire, but you will never find it because it is imaginary. So like that, it goes away. Yeah, someone read 8th translation.
Sometimes the conditioned soul is absorbed in finding residential quarters or apartments and getting a supply of water and riches to maintain his body. Absorbed in acquiring a variety of necessities, he forgets everything and perpetually runs around the forest of material existence.
Sometimes absorbed in maintaining himself with various items such as house, water, and wealth, he runs here and there in the forest of samsara. Family hai, roti, kapda, makan, we need to provide. So in order to look after the maintenance of the family, one keeps working, runs here and there, doing this job, the activity, wo activity to accumulate money. वो चलता रहता है. So that's how the life goes on in this material world. Sometimes he places on his lap a beautiful woman like a whirlwind, and by the impulse of passion, like dust, ignoring the rules of good conduct, his intelligence becomes blinded by passion, like getting dust in his eyes, and he cannot recognize the devatas of the directions who are witness and have become invisible to him. This verse explains the whirlwind. Having a woman on his lap is like being afflicted by a whirlwind. So that means basically when whirlwind comes, our eyes are filled with dust and we don't know what's happening around us. We don't know what is going on. We don't know what others are doing, and we think that no one is seeing me what I am doing also. So like that, one may tend to do all religious activities thinking that no one is seeing me. But our eyes are covered by the whirlwind, not the Devata's eyes. They'll be watching what we are doing actually. His vision is covered by the impulse of passion, like being covered by the dust. His intelligence becomes blinded by lust, and he does not recognize the Devatas of the directions. The Dik Devatas, such as fun and fire, who are actually witness, who have become invisible. The whirlwind actually blackened our eyes, not their eyes. So they'll be seeing what we are doing here. Here, whirlwind means not the physical whirlwind. The whirlwind is desire to do sinful activities. When we are blinded by the desire to do sinful activities, we think that no one is watching us. But the Dikpalakas, the Ashtadikkajas are continuously watching us, what we are doing. So in that way. Though at one time, realizing the futility of sense objects because his memory has been destroyed by absorption in his body, he continuously runs after sense objects, which are like a mirage of water. Sometimes one realizes, hey, बहुत कितना भी मेहनत करो कुछ सुख नहीं है भौतिक जगत में. One gets some vairagya, but that vairagya does not last long. Next day morning again, same chase, running after sense objects, वो चलता रहता है. Sometimes the events are described in order and sometimes not in sequence. Sometimes there is repetition, but one should not ignore the explanation. Either these verses may not be in sequence, but still just follow. It is not possible to make all the roads in the forest straight. Therefore, giving up one's own sense of pride, things should be explained as they are in the text. And the current one explain the meaning of the mirage of water. One time, the person realizes the futility of sense enjoyment. बीच में कभी-कभी ऐसा स्मशान वैराग्य आएगा. But he repeatedly runs after those objects. Sound, touch, form, taste, smell. thinking and decision, like a mirage of water, because his memory is destroyed by absorption in the body. The Smashana Vairagya, when somebody are near to us dies, we go to Smashan and we keep saying that ultimately kuch leka nahi jayega, सब कुछ छोड़ के जाना पड़ेगा. When he comes back, lot of endeavors to earn something. So in that way. Sometimes his ears and heart are pained by the scolding of government officials or enemies, directly or indirectly, who use arrogant words arising from their severe enthusiasm. This is like the sound of owls and crickets. This we have seen. This verse explains the sound of crickets. He becomes pained by the scolding of government officials, having pride arising from harsh enthusiasm. Sometimes government officials will come and scold for no reason. Just उनको लगा थोड़ा डांटने का वो आके डांट देते. So that will cause peacelessness to us. So in that way. And sometimes our own dear people, they also do it. Our neighbors and all, they keep scolding, keep fighting with us. So in that way. When one's pious credits are exhausted, one approaches wealthy men, the living dead, Jivan Mruta, without goals in this and next life, who are like impious trees and creepers, such as Karaskara and Kaka Thunda, are like poisoned wells. So when all one's pious credits are exhausted, one need money. So one does not have any money, one takes shelter of a miserly master. So that miserly master is compared to impious tree. Impious tree means the tree which does not produce any flowers and fruits. And impious creepers, those creepers which will destroy the crop of the normal trees. So in that way. Are poisoned wells. When somebody falls into the well, one will die. So in that way. This verse explains the impious trees mentioned in 5:13.5. The jiva has used up all his pious results by enjoyment. Karakshara is a poisonous herb. Wealthy men without goals in this next life are like such trees, and similar creepers are poisonous wells. Why wealthy men? They have some wealth. When somebody comes, you can give something. But these are considered to be the miserly people. They never offer any wealth in the service of the society and all. So such people are considered to be impious trees, which do not produce any fruits or flowers. And these miserly wealthy people also do not offer any charity. So in that way. Once, after his intelligence has been cheated by materialists, he approaches impostors, false gurus, pakandis, who give only suffering in this life and the next life, like jumping into dry river bed and breaking one's head. He goes to such impious spiritual masters. After understanding, he want to escape from there, and that escape will be like jumping into a river which is like a mirage. But by jumping into an empty river, one breaks one's legs and head. So that is what will happen. After his intelligence cheated by association with materialists, he falls into dry river beds and breaks his head. Later he comes to his senses. The material impostors give suffering in this life and next life. The material gurus make our current life miserable and make our future lives also miserable. So in that way. When he cannot support himself by giving pain to others, he gives trouble to his father or son, whom he regards as insignificant. When a person becomes bankrupt, he keeps troubling the father. The father is still alive. As such a person troubling the children. The children are growing up a little bit. So in that. This verse explains begging food from others when he does not have food by a livelihood that gives pain to others. He gives trouble to his father or son, which are insignificant like Kushagras, by bringing troops from the king's gate to harass them. So झगड़ा करते रहते हैं, ये property मेरा, ये मेरा, वो मेरा. So it's like that. Bringing all the village head, etc., etc., etc. There is a lot of debates, fights. This property is mine, that property is mine, like that, like that, like that. This is what we can see around us. अपने पास कुछ नहीं रहेगा तो either you go and beg some miserly wealthy people or fight with one's father, siblings, or children for wealth. So that is what will happen sometimes. Sometimes he enters the house, which is like a forest fire, devoid of pleasing objects and ending in suffering, and burned by the fire of lamentation, becomes greatly depressed. So sometimes he sees there is a nice house. When he enters, there is fire around him. So in that way, this verse explains the forest fire. The forest fire looks to be like brightly shining home, but when one enters, one understands it is full of heat and suffering. So like that. When his wealth, dear as life, is stolen by the government officials, who are like Rakshasas, made by crooked time, he appears dead without symptoms of life. When the wealth is stolen by the government official, the person feels, I'm dead, falls back and cries. He loses all sense of life as joy, because for such a person, like that. This verse explains how the Yaksha takes his wealth. He loses all sense of life such as joy, or he faints from lamentation. When wealth is gone away, one thinks that all my life has gone away. One becomes completely morose and as if dead. So that is what is indicated. Sometimes he experiences the happiness of a dream out of strong desire, thinking that his dead father or grandfather has appeared once again to fulfill his desires. This verse explains how the Jiva enjoys on entering the Gandharva city. Out of strong desire, thinking that his dead father has returned from the other world, he experienced the happiness of a dream, and that father has come back to tell about some hidden wealth so that he can enjoy more and more. That is the whole idea. So like that, those desires which are not fulfilled in day-to-day life, he gets them fulfilled in the dream night time. So like that. Okay. Someone please read the translation of the 18th verse.
In household life, one is ordered to execute many yajnas and fruitive activities, especially the Vivaha Yajna, the marriage ceremony for sons and daughters, and the sacred thread ceremony. These are all the duties of a Grihastha, and they are very extensive and troublesome to execute. They are confined to a big hill over which one must cross when one is attached to the material activities. A person desiring to cross over these ritualistic ceremonies certainly feels pain like the piercing of thorns and pebbles endured by one attempting to climb a hill. Thus, the conditioned soul suffers unlimitedly.
Desiring to take the responsibility for performing elaborate household sacrifices, like daughters getting married, sons getting married, the name giving ceremony of the grandchildren, birthday ceremonies of the grandchildren, like this, so many events that take place in the house. Like this, performing all these things is like desiring to climb a mountain, and agitated by his neighbor's absorption in such things, like entering a place with thorns and gravels, he laments. So these neighbors did like this, these neighbors did like this, I should also do it in a better way. thinking like that, one end up spending more money, more endeavor, more this, more that, with an intention to get a greater big name. One ends up in miserable condition. So like that. This verse explains climbing a mountain in 5:13:8. Sometimes he becomes overburdened with the weight of performing karmas, such as weddings or our sacrifice, which are like wanting to climb the top of a mountain, which is very difficult. His mind is attracted to the attachment his neighbors has for huge sacrifices. उन्होंने ये किया, he will also do it, something like that. They are performing these big sacrifices. Why can't I do this as well? Thus his mind becomes agitated. Having lost all fortitude by the intolerable fire of digestion in his body, sometimes he becomes angry at his family members. So he wants to do better than others, but when he does not do it, others will criticize. As a result of that shame, one loses hunger. When one does not eat, one feels so much painful inside. One starts shouting at the family members. This also we can see in our neighborhood many times. And then, swallowed by the python of sleep, absorbed in the deepest ignorance, he lies down in the deserted forest. Like a neglected dead body, he does not know anything. This verse explains being swallowed by a python. Apavidya means giving up his friends. It's basically swallowed by the python of sleep means he wants to do something, when he cannot do it, people criticize. He does not want to meet with anybody. He becomes lonely. In that loneliness, one may do so many sinful activities. Some people might want to commit suicide. Some people might want to stay behind the closed doors. Some people become addicted to liquor. Some people become addicted to intoxication, liquor, and some people will be addicted to prostitution, etc., etc., etc. Such kind of failures take one to become addicted to bad habits. That is called as swallowed by the python. Sleep means ignorance. One falls into wrong habits and feels lonely. So in that way. Sometimes his teeth of pride are broken by the bites of snakes in the form of evil men. Unable to sleep, his consciousness dwindling because of the troubled heart, he falls like a blind man into a blind well. So when the neighbors scold him, kya kiya aapne, kuch kiya nahi? When they criticize, so that criticism is like the snake biting. When a person is bitten by a snake, one person becomes unconscious. Same way, this person unable to tolerate the criticism of the neighbors, this person becomes unconscious. There is a lot of pain in the heart. May karna hai paya, wo karna hai paya karke. And such a person, like a blind man, falls into blind well. So that loneliness is compared to the blind well. Though the people are next to you, but we cannot interact with anybody. We cannot connect with anybody. We always were overwhelmed with the thought of I failed, I did not do it properly, I failed, like that. Either one gets succumbed to bad habits or one gets succumbed by the failure mentality. So in that way. Then sometimes when searching for a drop of honey in the form of pleasure, he takes possession of others' wives and properties. Such a person is beaten by the king or the husband and falls into insurmountable hell. So sometimes looking for enjoyment, one person looks after the women of somebody else or the wealth of somebody else. When such a person is caught, is strongly beaten by the king or the owner. So this is commonly seen. Therefore, the wise describe the cultivation of samsara for the living being in this world as karma of two types, pious and sinful. So the wise people say that the household order in this material world is of both the ways. Some people go dharmic well, other people trying to cut corners and want to enjoy by performing sinful activities. So it is both pious and sinful. Because of what has been said, they describe the world as karma of sinful and pious types in this world. This world is filled with pious activities and impious activities. That is the understanding. If he escapes from the punishment allotted by the husband of the woman, Devadatta then enjoys, and then Vishnudatta, and then Vishnumitra, that the situation is unstable. Even if one person is a person was not noticed by the husband of the woman whom he is enjoying, you may think that okay, I become successful, I could enjoy without being noticed by the husband. But that woman will be enjoyed by somebody else tomorrow, and that woman will not remain for this person only for the lifelong. So such kind of enjoyment is only temporary in this material world. This is also understood like this. One may perform so many karmas to go to Swarga. Today this person will enjoy Swarga, and for 10,000 years he will come back. Tomorrow somebody will go to Swarga and will enjoy the same property there. That means that property does not belong to you only always. Today you are enjoying, tomorrow somebody else will enjoy. So in this material world, everything is temporary, nothing is yours. So that is the understanding. If he escaping the beating by the husband at the expense of bribes or running away, he will enjoy the woman. Then another person called Devadatta appears and enjoys her. Then another person called Vishnumitra reappears and enjoys her. No one gets to enjoy to his full extent in this material world. Unable to counteract the conditions of suffering arising from the body, mind, and other beings, cold and wind, he becomes depressed by severe anxieties. This is the direct meaning. So, tapatraya, adhyatmika klesha, adi bhautika klesha, adi daivika klesha, they keep on troubling us. They keep on tormenting us. So, one need to endure all these difficulties. Sometimes whatever he transacts during business or whatever small amount he takes from others creates enmity because of the tendency to cheat for wealth. Whether you want to cheat or whether they want to cheat, when there is a business transaction takes place, there is fight. There is a difference of opinion. There is a verbal fight and literal fight also. Whatever small amount one transacts during business or by taking even 20 cowries from others creates enmity. So little money also taken from others, there is a great chance for quarrel or criticism or something. So in that way. Yeah. Someone will please read the translation, 27th verse.
In this materialistic life, there are many difficulties, as I have just mentioned, and all of these are insurmountable. In addition, there are difficulties arising from so-called happiness, distress, attachment, hate, fear, false prestige, illusion, madness, lamentation, bewilderment, greed, envy, enmity, insult, hunger, thirst, tribulation, disease, birth, old age, and death. All these combine together to give the materialistic conditioned soul nothing but misery.
On that path, there are misfortunes such as happiness, distress, attachment, hatred, fear, pride, inattention, insanity, lamentation, illusion, greed, dissatisfaction, envy, dishonor, hunger, thirst, anxiety, disease, birth, old age, and death. What are the different troubles that we encounter in this material world? They are kind of summarized in this verse. All the difficulties that we go through while in the material world are summarized in this verse. Happiness, distress, attachment, hatred, fear, pride, inattention, insanity, lamentation, illusion, greed, dissatisfaction, envy, dishonor, hunger, thirst, anxiety, disease, birth, old age, death. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi are here. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Masara, they are all there. Sukha, Dukkha, Kshut, Truth, etc. etc. They're all there. So many are there. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 troubles that are always surrounding us. These are all called as 21 misfortunes. They keep on troubling us. Even the so-called material happiness is also a misfortune situation for us. They keep on causing trouble to us. Because little bit of material happiness will bring us or take us in the direction to get more and more material happiness. But every material happiness is endowed with material misery. What was that verse from Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter? Ei samsparshaja boga dukkha yone evate adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Every material happiness is a yoni for the material misery in the future. So even happiness is also a misfortune. So 21 misfortunes are always surrounding us, constantly chasing us. So in that way. This verse explains the words, wandering on the path, he almost dies because of the great difficulties, loss of wealth and sickness he encounters, which was mentioned in the 13th verse. So like that. Sometimes embraced by the creeper-like arms of a woman who is Maya herself, he loses discrimination and knowledge. And with heart absorbed in building a house for her pleasure, his heart becomes stolen by the words, glances, and actions of the sons, daughters, sons-in-law, daughter's husband, and the daughters-in-law, son's wife, who are all under his wife's shelter. Uncontrolled in mind, he hurls himself into the greatest insurmountable darkness. Other one becomes attracted to wife. After wife, there are children, the boys and girls. After boys getting married, there will be daughter-in-law. After girls getting married, there is son-in-law. Like that, the family is expanding in order to maintain, fulfill the desires of all the family members. The life goes on like that. That is understanding. This verse explains taking shelter of the creepers mentioned in the 16th verse. Taking shelter of the creepers means he is embraced by a woman who is none other than the Lord's Maya. In this state, he loses discrimination and knowledge. The mind becomes absorbed in building a house for the enjoyment with his wife. His heart is stolen away by the words, actions, and glances of the daughter's sons and the son's wife and daughter's husband under the wife's shelter. So like that, being attracted by the broken words of the children and eventually childish activities and eventually their getting their upbringing, their education, their marriage and their children. So like that life goes on. So in that way. Sometimes afraid of the chakra of the Supreme Lord. The chakra of the Supreme Lord means time. Sometimes afraid of the time of the Supreme Lord, which represents time from the smallest unit up to the lifespan of Brahma, and which turns quickly through all the ages of life, destroying the lives of all beings from Brahma to grass, who are absorbed in their material affairs. The Jiva does not respect the Lord of sacrifice, who holds that chakra, but instead accepts impostors devoid of proper conduct, who are like herons, vultures, and cranes as objects of worship. Sometimes we are afraid of time. Every December 31st or every birthday we may think that okay, our ek saal nikal gaya. That time there is small duration, there is a kind of regret. But afterwards, no worries. चलता रहता है, जीवन चलता रहता है. But still we don't take shelter of the Lord. Instead we take shelter of all impostors. So in that way, this verse explains the sentence: being afraid of group of lions in the forest, he makes friends with cranes, herons, and vultures. From verse 16. In fear of the chakra or Kala chakra, one accepts the impostors as worshipable along with their imaginary scriptures. तो टाइम तो निकल रहा है, ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, this fellow is promising that I will get, if I do this I'll get this, if I do this I'll get, if I go there I'll get this. Like that we run after the impostors who gives false promises. The chakra is characterized prominently by time, from the smallest fraction of time, Truti, to the lifespan of Brahma, one Mahakalpa. The chakra is the very form of time. It quickly destroys the living beings from Brahma to grass by its turning, with the passing of age from youth to old age. Even though we may want, we may not want, but the time will be passing very quickly. The time will destroy us. So in that way, they do not notice this. The chakra destroys the life of the living beings. The chakra is vigilant. Arya Samaya Parihruta means they are devoid of proper behavior. Arya Samaya. Arya means the proper culture. So people who are devoid of proper culture are indifferent to the passage of time. They are simply ignorant of time, how time is passing away. So in that way. When the person is greatly cheated by impostors who cheat themselves, he settles among Brahmanas, but has no taste for their way of worshipping the Lord of sacrifice by performance of rituals such as taking the sacred thread according to Shruti and Smriti. So when he understands that the impostors are cheating me, then he comes in contact with the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. But he cannot follow the rigid lifestyle of the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. It is very tough for him, and he leaves them and goes somewhere else. He then joins the Shudras. In that group, he performs what is forbidden in the scriptures, such as forbidden sexual union, simply supporting a family like the apes. So this verse explains the phrase, cheated by cranes, he contacts a group of sons in text number 17. The impostors cheat themselves since they accept a path of their own imagination. One who follows them is also cheated. Cheating the cheated. So no, not that. It's like following the blind. So in that way. On some pretext of offense, they kick him out of their group after taking all his money. Such kind of impostor, they take away all your money. In the pretext of some cheating, they'll throw you out of. After making you bankrupt, they'll throw you out of that. Then such a person, Nigama Achare Ashuddhita means performing what are listed as impure actions in the scriptures. Mithuni Bhava means marriage by paying a price for a widow or rejected wife of another. So basically such a person comes in the association of devotees or bona fide Brahmanas, but very difficult to follow them. Then he becomes attracted to the Shudra lifestyle, who does not follow any Shastric injunctions. So such a people simply marry by paying price for a widow or a rejected wife of another for the purpose of enjoying. So like the monkeys. So like that, their life will go on in this mental existence. Tatrapi, even though in the company of those Shudras, without the restriction of the rules, independently, with miserly intelligence, forgetting that death will come, he enjoys through material activities while looking at the faces of other similar people. Oh, itna log enjoy kar rahe, मैं करने से क्या problem है? Like that, he keeps enjoying sinful activities in the company of non-Vedic people. So in that way. So this verse explains the sentence. He senses joyful because the pleasure arising from them, gazing at their faces, he forgets about death. Niravarodha means not restricted by the rules of dharma. Niravarodha. Forgetting the time of death, he enjoys. He keeps enjoying, like Ajamil was enjoying in the company of a prostitute. Like that one enjoys one's life. Having given up the association of bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Sometimes he enjoys in houses which give material pleasure and which are like trees just as the monkeys affectionate to sons and wife as a festival of enjoyment in the trees. So in that way, this verse explains enjoying in the trees. Text number 18. Ramsyam means enjoying. Vyavayakshana means a festival of enjoyment with women. So unrestricted sense gratification in the company of non-Vedic followers, he will have that. He thinks life is going happily. On the path, he is restricted to sinful acts, and out of fear of death, he falls into ignorance, which is like a mountain cave. But finally, when the body does not cooperate, he laments. In that lamentation, he finally dies. By such unrestricted enjoyment, a person might be contracted by so many diseases, or finally one may become old. Then one laments and dies. So in that way. So this verse explains the phrase, out of inattention, he falls from a mountain cliff. Out of fear of death in ignorance, he is confined to performing sinful acts to prevent serious illness. In this way, he is absorbed in himself. By performing sinful activities, he gets illness. In order to cure illness, he has to restrict himself from all those sinful activities. So like that, bhoga tyaga will take place. Sometimes being unable to cope with the unlimited suffering caused by the body, mind and natural calamities, such as cold and wind, he becomes depressed because of unending desire for sense gratification. You want to enjoy, but the body gives trouble, mind gives trouble, the material nature gives trouble, and other living entities give trouble. So there are a lot of impediments on the desire to enjoy. Sometimes in mutual transactions, he obtains a little wealth by cheating. Sometimes he gets cheated by others. Sometimes he cheats others. When he cheats others, he gets wealth. Sometimes taking wealth and without bed or chair, determined to attain what he desires but cannot attain, he encounters disrespect from others. So sometimes losing wealth, though you want to possess something, the basic requirements like a home, some sitting arrangement, sleeping arrangement, but he does not have. And such a person will be disrespected by family members and neighbors, relatives, friends, etc. And he goes through misery by, this is called Adi Bhautika Klesha, the misery caused by others. The family members will scold, up to घर वाले हैं कुछ तो चाहिए ना घर में, एक टेबल, chair, sofa, TV, fridge, almirah, etc. None of them are there. What kind of life you are leading like that? The wife will scold, children will scold, neighbors will scold, relatives will scold. This is called Adi Bhautika Klesha. The previous was talked about Adhyatmika and Adi Devi Klesha. This is talking about Adi Bhautika Klesha. Manorothopagata dane means he is determined to take the wealth that he desires. So then, being scolded by the family members, he want to cheat others. He want to steal others' wealth or cheat other. So like that. Having increased the enmity with others because of transactions for money, he marries according to his previous karmas and then gives up the marriage. So basically, if he need more money, either he takes loan or he bribes, he takes on debt, or he steals or cheats or whatever, by which the others become angry with him. Finally, with a desire to get more money, he want to marry the daughter of a wealthy man. And in no time, the wealthy man's daughter realizes this fellow is only trying to cheat me. So she will take divorce and go away. So all these things will take place. On the path of samsara, one is afflicted by various obstacles and sufferings, giving up the persons who have encountered disaster and death, and accepting those who are born. So basically, giving up our parents and accepting our children and undergoing so many troubles, so life will go on, life will move on. Lamenting, becoming bewildered, fearing, quarreling, crying, rejoicing, singing, being bound by them, devoid of association with devotees, one does not escape. The wise say that The method of crossing over material existence is the Supreme Lord from whom material existence of the Jiva has arisen. Chapter 15, text number 3 and 4. Na rupamasya tatopalabhyate nanto na chadir na chatam pratishta ashvattamenam suviruda moolam asangashasrena dridena chitva tata param tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapatte yasmin yata pravrutti prasuta purani. So, giving up this material existence with the weapon of detachment, one should search for the real wealth, the true treasure, Supreme Lord Vishnu, attaining whom one will not return, and who is the source of this material existence. So, like that, instead of taking shelter of anybody in this material world, one should take shelter of that person, the source of the material world. Only that person can give us the real solace, real happiness, real shelter. So that is the understanding. So this is the instruction for all of us. The Vartaka, in order to get wealth, in order to get false wealth, running here and there and trying to enjoy here and there, instead we should look for the real wealth, the true treasure, that is Lord Vishnu, attaining which one will never lose it. There is no fear of thief stealing, the king stealing away. There is no fear of the senses stealing it away, the family member jackal stealing away. Like that, nothing is there. This wealth will increase more and more. It is Nitya Vardhanam. It is ever increasing. Even the more the people want to steal it from you, the more it increases. So one is always wealthy, one becomes more and more wealthy. That is the understanding. This verse explains the sentence. Absorbed in the path of ignorance, a person wanders about and does not understand anything. Text number 19. Apanna Vipanna means receiving disaster and dying. Only in the association of the devotees can one cross over the difficulties. The wise, the knowledgeable point out that the Supreme Lord from whom material existence has arisen, Yatmin Gatana Nivartanti Bhuya Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadye Yata Pravruti Prasta Purani, is the only way to cross over material existence. Mamevai Prapadyante Mayamyetam Taradite. The Lord is the only way to get out of this material existence. Association with devotees is the cause of taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. So Lord is the only way, but we cannot get the Lord just like that. In order to get the Lord, we need to associate the pure devotees. The pure devotees are giving us the Lord. That's why the leader of the pure devotees is Narada Muni. Narada means Narayan ko dene wala. Narada. Narada Muni is the one who gives that one, following which we attain Narayana. That one is Bhakti. So he who gives Bhakti to us is called Narada. So by taking shelter of the Vaishnavas, we get the Lord. By taking shelter of the Lord, we go back home back to Godhead. So that is the understanding. Crossing material existence is attained by Bhakti Yoga and not by materialistic persons. Those who have given up violence to all beings, who are peaceful, who have controlled their minds, attain freedom from samsara. Yadidam yoga anushasanam nava etad avarundate yan nasyadanda munaya upashama shila uparatatmana samavagachantihi. Only they will attain Vaikuntha who follow all these things, who make friends with everyone, who show compassion to all the living entities, who are freed from violence, who are peaceful, who have controlled their minds and senses. Only such a people attain freedom from samsara. The cause of not return to the material world is described. Samavagachanti means they attain spiritual world. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangair gacchantya muda padamavyayam tat. Gachanti, they will go. Who will go? Amuda, a knowledgeable person will go to where? Avyaya padam. Whose Avyaya padam? Tat Avyaya padam, the inexhaustible eternal abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be attained by those who follow these characteristics. Nirmana, Nirmoha, Jitsanga Dosha, Adhyatma Nitya, Vinivritta Kama, Dvandve Vimukta, Sukadukka Samyer. Those who follow all these things definitely will go to the transcendental abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is Avyayam, inexhaustible. So in that way. So please read the translation, text number 40.
There were many great saintly kings who were very expert in performing sacrificial rituals and very competent in conquering other kingdoms. Yet, despite their power, they could not attain the loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is because those great kings could not even conquer the false consciousness of I am this body and this is my property. Thus, they simply created enmity with rival kings, fought with them, and died without having discharged life's real mission.
Even after stating the conclusion, still some of the points were missed. They were not told. So Sukadeva Goswami is talking about those points which are missed in the next two verses, 40 and 41. Even though a person may be a conqueror of all directions, a performer of great sacrifices, or a great sage among kings, lying on the battlefield on the soil which created enmity with others, may thinking, this earth is mine, he gives up the earth and dies. Even though one might have performed yajna dana tapa, if a person had this ahankara, this earth is mine, this is mine, that is mine, such a person dies uselessly in the battlefield of samsara. So this verse explains the text number 15. Warriors who have conquered even the elephants of the direction thinking in terms of mine, surrounded by enemies, all fall dead on the battlefield. So one day will be killed in the battlefield by enemies. Even though they conquer all directions, they lie on the earth, which created enmity by thinking it is mine, and giving up that earth, they die. What they said, this is mine, one day they have to give up that and go to the Yamakshayam, the abode of Yamaraj. So in that way, so the forest of material existence, the journey of a vanik, vartak, with a desire to get more and more wealth is described in this chapter, in the previous chapter that is explained in this chapter. So this is like the last verse in this section, which is explanation of the 18th and 19th verse. So in that way. So please, taking support of the wine of karma, free of danger and hellish existence, even if he attains Svarga, he remains on the path of samsara and again enters material existence. Till now, there is only discussion about the miseries in the earth. Somebody may say, no, everyone's life will not be like that. Some people will do pious activities. Okay, no problem, Baba. He has done pious activities, he has died, he has gone to Svarga. Then what? He will enjoy for some time, then again come back to the same world, na? How long he will stay in the Svarga? Lifelong he will not stay there. One day he has to come back. That is being indicated. So this verse explains text number 18-19. Holding onto a creeper afraid of an elephant, he remains dangling there. Even though one may attain Svarga, one still treads the path of samsara. One has to come back. One cannot stay eternally in the Svarga. Tetam bhuktva sargalokam vishalam kshine punne martyalokam vishanti. As soon as the piety is over, one has to come back. So it is like that. So that is how the meaning of this story has been described in the previous verses. And this chapter has got only 5 more verses. We'll just briefly discuss these 5 verses. With that, this chapter is over. So I think it is already 1:30. Is it 1:30? What time now, Hare Krishna?
1:30, Prabhu.
Okay. Should we discuss these 5 verses, the last 5 verses, so that the entire theme is over? Just 5 minutes more. We'll discuss these 5 verses briefly.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Tassedam upagayanti. So basically, the Rishis have glorified Bharat Maharaj. After 3 lifetimes, he went back home back to Godhead. Some of his wonderful glories are mentioned here. The sages glorify the actions of Bharata as follows. Like a fly imitating Garuda, a king should not imitate the activities of the son of Rishabdeva, the saintly king and great devotee even in one's mind. We cannot imitate Bharat Maharaj, because what Bharata Maharaj did is beyond imagination. Even when as a king, he is the ruler of the entire Bhumandala. He gave it up everything like the stool and he went to forest to perform bhakti. And he became a deer. And even though he became a deer, but he never actually lived like a deer. Then he became a Brahmana Bharata and he did not live like a Brahmana. He lived completely indifferent to the material world. The lifestyle which he led, it is very difficult for us to follow. We may think, maybe aise jeena chahta hu. That is very difficult. We should not imitate him. The story of Bharata is concluded with glorification by ancient sages. The wise sing of the Bharata's activities. One cannot imitate the path of the son of Rishabha, the saint among the kings, Rajarshi, since one is unqualified. One cannot even desire in the mind what to speak of performing the activities. I am avataro rajasopa pluta kaivalyopa shikshanartaha. Lord Rishabhadeva appeared in this world to teach liberation, which had become lost due to the influence of time. What Lord Rishabhadeva followed also very tough to follow. And Bharata Maharaj followed somewhat, not exactly as it is, but somewhat he followed. When Lord Rishabhadeva appeared, the Jnanis of that time were supposed to follow his example. He came to teach Jnana Yoga, which had been lost due to the influence of time. Here he came to teach the path of liberation to those overcome by Rajoguna. People of Satya, Treta, Dwapara Yugas could follow his teachings, but the people of Kali Yuga should only hear about him, not imitate his ways of renunciation. The renunciation followed by Rishabhadev or the renunciation followed by Bharata Maharaj are very tough. We should hear and meditate upon. We should never try to imitate. That is very tough to imitate in the current day situation. So in that way. Yo duschadantara sutan suhrud. Sorry. Yo duschadantara sutan. Please repeat.
Yo dustyajan dharasutan.
Suhrud rajam rudisprushaha.
Surid rajyam hridispisha.
Jahau yuvai malavad.
Jahau yoe malavad.
Uttama shloka lalasaha.
Tama shloka lalasaha.
Bharata Maharaj, who longed to serve the Lord, gave up wife, sons, friends, and kingdom as if they were stool, though they were touching to the heart and thus difficult to give up at a young age. Bharata Maharaj gave up everything to worship the Supreme Lord in seclusion. This is very difficult for us to do. This verse describes Bharata's experience of prema. Because he was experiencing prema of the Lord, he could give up all those things. The wife and sons were difficult to give up because they were attracted to the heart. He gave up his wife and sons while young, whereas Priyavrata gave up his kingdom when he was old. He gave up everything as if it were stool. Giving up stool gives bliss, but giving up one's possessions, wealth, position, and people gives pain. Remembering it makes one spit in disgust. This shows his distinctive character. He has given up the wealth, position, and people and all, just like one gives up stool happily. So in that way. The reason was that he longed for the Lord, who had the highest fame in terms of form, qualities, pastimes, sweetness, and powers. He longed to see the Lord. His desire to see the Lord is so great that he gave up his kingdom and other things very easily. Persons who show detachment by all their senses but are not absorbed in the Lord do not reject wife and sons like stool. This shows Bharata's topmost status as a devotee. People may exhibit detachment towards the objects, but detachment towards the people is very difficult. But Bharata Maharaj exhibited both detachment toward the objects, detachment toward the people very easily because he had a lot of attachment for the Supreme Lord. So in that way. Yo dustyajan kshitisuta svajanartadaran.
Yo dustyajana kiti susta sojanarthadaran.
Prartyam shriyam suravarei sadayavalokam.
Parthayam sriyam suravare sadayava lokam.
Naichandrupastaduchitam mahatam madodvet.
Naichunrupatad uchitam mahatam madhutvit.
Sevanuraktamanasam abavopi palguhu.
Seva nurukta manasam abho api phalguhu.
The king did not desire the earth, sons, relatives, objects, wife, all difficult to give up, and did not desire his wealth, which was desired by the Devatas, and which cast glances asking to be engaged in his service. So basically, the earth, sons, relatives, objects, wives, kingdom, position, they all demand our service. But Bharata Maharaj gave them up easily. That is appropriate for even liberation is insignificant for the great devotee whose minds are attracted to service to Supreme Lord. The devotees who are dedicated to service, serving the lotus of the Lord, not even interested in the Apavarga, then what to speak of the Swarga or the earth? They are not at all interested in any of these material happiness. So in that way. In joy, the same meaning is repeated to make it clear. What Sukadeva Goswami is told in the previous verse is repeating the same now. Because Sukadeva Goswami is so joyous, he is glorifying the same activities of Bharata Maharaj again and again. He did not desire wealth. This makes his followers glance at wealth while thinking, Bharata should have such mercy on her. This is the meaning given by Srila Sridhar Swami. Or it can refer to wealth, which looking at Bharata with pity says, Bharata should not accept pains of the body arising from his detachment. He should remain in his house, pampered by me. So the wealth would say at Bharata Maharaj, my dear Bharata, why are you going to forest to endure the hardships? Stay home and live happily. I'm here to serve you. Like that the wealth is saying. But still, even though wealth is trying to serve him, he gave up the wealth and went to forest. So Abhava, even liberation was insignificant. That is also given up. Bharata was not even interested in Sahajya Mukti. So in that way. And then they say, Yajnaya dharma pataye vidinai punaya.
यज्ञाय धर्मपतये विधिनैपुणाय
Yogaya sankhya shirase prakrutishwaraya.
योगाय सांख्यशिरसे प्रतिस्वराय
Narayanaaya haraye namayitudaram.
नारायणा हरये नम इति उदारम्
हास्यं मृगत्वमपि या समुदाजहार.
हास्यन् मृगता त्वाम् अपि या समुद्दा जराः
I
जहार
offer respects to the personification of sacrifice, the master of dharma, who is skillful in the rules for sacrifice, to the personification of yoga, to the head of Sankhya, to the Lord of Prakriti, to Lord Narayana, to Lord Hari. Wanting to give up his dear body, he chanted loudly this prayer. As Bharata Maharaj, when he was about to die, he was looking at the Surya and he was looking at the Chandra, requesting the Chandra to maintain, a Chandra or Surya, requesting the Surya to maintain the deer. I am dying. There is no one to look after this deer. Please take care, my dear Surya Deva. Please take care of this deer. This is the prayer he chanted at the time of death as Bharata Maharaj. But when he was dying as a deer, looking at Lord Hari, he was praying this thing. O Yajnaya, O Dharmapataye, O Vedinirupanaya, O Yogaya, Sankhya Sharira, O Prakrutishvara, Narayana, Hariye, Namayati. He was praying to Lord Narayana. chanting the different holy names of the Lord. I wasted my previous life. This life I don't want to waste. While dying, I am remembering your name. And those who remember the Lord at the time of death were supposed to attain the Supreme Lord. But he did not attain. In order to show a good example to us, Lord made him to take birth once again as the Brahmana Bharata and exhibit the pinnacle of the detachment to all of us. Unless until one has such kind of pinnacle of detachment, one cannot give up this mental world and go back home back to Godhead. In order to show that even he could have gone back home back to Godhead after the deer only, because he chanted the prayer, he remembered the Lord. Antakalecha mamecha smaranmuktva kalevaram. So such a person should go back to spiritual world. But the Lord did not take him to spiritual world. Instead, he has given him one more birth to show all of us that what kind of detachment all of us should have toward this material world, if at all we have desire to go back home back to Godhead. That is the only purpose. In 3 lines, successively, karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti are glorified for having greater and greater excellence. I offer respect to the Lord who is expert in the rules of sacrifice. So, yajna, dharmapataye, vidhinurupanaya, these are all for karma yoga. So sorry. And while desiring to give up his dear body, not at the time of death, he chanted, since the Lord would make him take birth again to perfect his yoga is Ashtanga Yoga, Sankhya Shariram is Jnana Yoga, Prakritishvara is again Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Narayanaya Haraya is Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The names of the Lord in 3 processes, they are being chanted. Here it says that he chanted this prayer while living, not at the time of death. If he chanted this prayer at the time of death, he would have gone back home back to Godhead. But he did not chant this prayer at the time of death. Instead, he chanted this prayer throughout the life. That's why he has got birth as Brahmana Bharata. That is how Acharyas are telling. But in any case, either in order to improve his bhakti or in order to show a lesson to all of us, he appeared as Brahmana Bharata. No problem. Anyone who hears, relates, or glorifies this narration of the saintly King Bharata, whose pure qualities and pure activities are worshipped by the great devotees, a story which yields auspiciousness, long life, wealth, fame, heaven, and liberation. These are all for people in general. If they listen all these things, they will attain all these things. Achieves all blessings spontaneously without depending on anything else. But for devotees, whatever is attained by Bharata Maharaj is what we attain. He attained Krishna Prema, we also attain Krishna Prema. For people in general, when they hear this pastime, they will get auspiciousness, long life, wealth, fame, heaven, and liberation. So in that way. Maharaja Bharata's pure qualities and activities are worshipped in the Bhagavatam or by the devotees. Easily, spontaneously, all things desired are attained by hearing about them. For people in general, all blessings will be awarded. For devotees, they will get what Bharata Maharaja got. That is pure devotional service. Krishna Prema. So, in that way. So, Hare Krishna, thank you very much for staying back for a few more minutes extra. So, with this, the glories of Bharata Maharaj are ended. Starting from chapter number 7 to 14, like 6 chapters. There is 6 or 8 chapters. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 8 chapters. There is a detailed discussion about Bharata Maharaj's episode. Very interesting, little technical, but very important. So, as we mentioned previously also in our book, these chapters, especially chapter 13 and 14, will talk about all the different obstacles that can come in the life of a devotee. Are kind of forewarned. So we should be careful and we should be attentive, apramatta, in order to deal with all such difficulties and go ahead toward the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with these few words, we'll take a break from today's Bhagavatam class. So we are done with this episode. And then there is a small chapter with the names that we will do. And we'll continue with Bhagavad Cosmology seminar in our next class. So next Sunday, there is a festival at Chaupati temple, the Radha Gopinath Brahmotsav festival on 12th of July. So mostly we may not have class, but whenever we have the next class, we will start our cosmology discussion, the 5th canto, starting from chapter 16 onwards, the Bhagavad cosmology section. So we'll discuss. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.